Where there is no peace process to speak of, no two-state solution either, there is this. A Palestinian ramming his van at speed into a bus stop in Jerusalem, killing one Israeli and then randomly stabbing 6 others. A deliberate act of terror by a so-called lone wolf. And for Israeli intelligence, an attack by its very nature virtually impossible to predict. This was the moment the attacker was confronted by an armed policeman. He lunges at him with a meat cleaver. If this is the third intifada, it isn't organised as such. Instead, it's just one man, an employee of the Israeli telephone company, with his own act of violent resistance in this ultra-Orthodox neighbourhood, until he's eventually shoved by a passerby and then shot dead himself. In another district of the city, 2 Palestinians shot and stabbed Jewish passengers on this bus, killing 2 and injuring 4 others. The main Palestinian groups had declared this a so-called day of rage, but there's now been a fortnight of such incidents, apparently beyond the leadership's control, leaving 7 Israelis and 28 Palestinians dead, with the Israelis sometimes shooting to kill in the name of self-defense.
The terrorists were shot. One of them was shot and killed. The second one was shot and captured at the scene. We confirmed 5 Israelis were injured. Unfortunately, 1 Israeli man confirmed dead at the scene.
One of those killed was a 60-year-old rabbi who was buried soon afterwards. Israel's Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu blamed the Palestinian Authority for, he said, inciting violence. It's possible Israel will now decide to seal off Jerusalem's Arab areas.
Today we will decide on a series of additional aggressive steps in our struggle against terror and incitement. They will be implemented as soon as possible. Israel will settle the score with the murderers, the killers, and with those who try to murder and those who assist them.
The atmosphere here now so febrile that after a Palestinian stabbed and injured an Israeli near Tel Aviv this morning, the attacker was kicked and beaten as he lay captive on the ground. On both sides there's frustration at the violence and yet more violence in response. In the occupied West Bank, a return to a decades-old confrontation. These youths also confronting their own Palestinian leadership by defying their message of non-violent resistance.
Our decision is to appeal to the International Criminal Court and to hold the Israeli Prime Minister, his Defense Minister and his security forces responsible for what is happening.
Though on the streets of Gaza, no one is holding their breath for that. Across the Palestinian territories, an intifada is what they are calling this, and an intifada is what it may become.